This is the voice of Aajan. The mesmerizing Aajan is inviting all the Muslims to the namaz and to pay their obeisance to Allah. At the very dawn, when people are still in their beds, the melodious Aajan, emanating from a distance, reminds people of Allah or God. It summons people to the namaz so that they could start their day auspiciously. This is fascinating Assam, a magnificent blend of numerous ethnic groups, tribes, arts and cultures. That is the land of Assam. It is called the land of Sankardeva and Aajan. From time immemorial, people from various faiths have coexisted harmoniously in the heart of Mother Assam, and they have strengthened the unity and integrity of the land. Both sides of Brahmaputra and the Barak have been shining with nature's evergreen elegance, boundless bounties of natural resources and cultural traditions. On one hand, there is the famous Kaziranga, and on the other, there exists the illustrious legacy of 600 years of Ahom era in the Upper Assam's Sivasagar district. The land of Assam can also be called a pilgrimage of various august faiths. The collective celebrations of various ethnic groups and tribes have added a unique dimension to Mother Assam. On one hand, we get to listen to Hari's kirtans from the Vaishnava saints. On the other hand, the mellifluous voices of the Aajan originate from the mosques every morning and evening. In addition to these, there are sublime specialities of churches, Buddhist viharas and temples. Similarly, festivities such as Bagurumba, Oinitom, and the heritage of Bihu and Eid have embellished Mother Assam. In this land, the Azans at the dawns and the Borgeet Ghoshash in the mornings have filled our hearts with veneration, as if to say, "Come, let us together reach out to the Almighty and spread the fragrance around the world." Aajan Fakir. Let us go back to the times in history. when the traditions of Azan started in Assam and throw some light on the great personality who taught the Muslim brothers in Upper Assam to recite Azan for the first time. This man, after a lifelong devotion in developing the beautiful jikirs and zaris, showed the way for people to reach Allah. Turning the pages of history, we get to know that a young Muslim man, along with his brother, came to India from the distant land of Baghdad, sometime in the year 1636 Christ era. His name was Shah Miran. For some people, it was Shah Milan. He arrived in India with the sole aim of spreading Islam. The word Baghdad, his birthplace, comes from two words, Bagh, meaning garden, and Dad, meaning judgment. In other words, Baghdad means the garden of judgment or the nursery of judgment. In this way, His Holiness Shah Miran arrived in India from the garden of judgment. In his long journey, he spent some days in the Dargah of Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti in Ajmer. He reached Assam via West Bengal and Cooch Behar. Although we do not know with certainty the date of his arrival in Assam, the writings of the late Sayyid Abdul Malik, a famous literary scholar, mention the date to be between 1625 and 1634 or 35. In this way, His Holiness Shah Miran, on reaching Assam, camped at Hajo for some time. He learned and mastered the Assami language at this place. According to historians, he entered Assam along with 4 of his disciples. They were Hazrat Usman, Hazrat Sowal, Hazrat Saleh, and his own brother, Hazrat Navi. Traveling over the Brahmaputra, they gradually reached Dikhomukh in Upper Assam. From Dikhomukh, they moved further finally to settle down at a place called Sonpura near Gadgaon. During the time of arrival of the saint, Assam was witnessing the reign of Ahom king Pratap Singha. The Muslims living in Assam at that point of time were Muslims only titularly and not functionally. They did not express any interest in the Islam faith and were estranged from all religious rites and duties. At this critical juncture, after suffering extreme hardship and sacrifice, His Holiness Shah Miran managed to preach the tenets of the faith among the Muslims. In those days, the capital of Ahom king was Gadgaon. He was able to establish the first mosque in Upper Assam at Sonpura in Gadgaon and propagate the recital of Azan. He invited all Muslims to offer prayers at the namaz. Historical accounts say that the mosque was built through the joint efforts of both Hindus and Muslims. Together with his brother Shah Navi, he taught the Muslim brethren on how to lead a religious life. It was because of his efforts at propagating Azan among the people that he later became famous as Aajan Fakir. Aajan Pir was an exceptional scholar. He commanded extraordinary expertise over the Holy Quran and Hadith. Upon his arrival in Assam, it took him no time to master the Assami language, and by taking in wedlock a woman of Assami descent, he became a through and through Assami. Truly speaking, Aajan Fakir was the pole star of Assam. The sole reason for his popularity in Assam was his secular beliefs. According to him, there is no class difference between the Hindus and the Muslims. Everyone is the creation of the same God. In this way, during his lifetime itself, he succeeded in tying together the Assamese Hindus and the Muslims. This reverend saint made a unique contribution to the Assami literature. This is in the form of jikirs. When we listen to the jikirs even today, we lose ourselves in religious piety and receive spiritual contentment, irrespective of our race, belief, caste, and creed. Through these immortal jikirs, he talked about religious spirituality and the attainment of Allah. Through them, he taught the Muslims on how to follow the religion of humanity by shunning disorderly social milieus and by adhering to the right path. His Holiness Aajan Pir was broad-minded and an ardent believer in secular principles. Through the jikirs, he preached that there are no inherent differences between the Hindus and the Muslims, and that Allah are gifts from the same Allah. In the soul-stirring jikirs, one can find a remarkable display of developing bridges of harmony. Zikr is an Arabic word. It means to memorize. In other terms, it means repeatedly remembering the name of Allah. The word zikr has originated from the root word zikr. Aajan Pir visited Assam during 17th century. The expanse of the spiritual influence of Shankar Deva during the 17th century greatly impressed him. And to teach the religious precepts to the contemporary Assami Muslims, he too created various compositions in the line of devotional musical works like Borgeet and such other pieces developed by Shankar Deva. These songs, composed by him to propagate religious tenets among Islamic followers, eventually came to be known as jikirs. Through the medium of these jikirs, he cited many an example of the cultural life of people of Assam during those days. The kind of traditional, multifaceted culture that existed in the olden days. During the time of Aajan Pir's arrival in Assam, there was a massive spread of Vaishnava faith, and he, starting from Sivasagar, then to Darang, Haju region, reaching up to Barpeta region, he visited these areas frequently in both valleys of the Brahmaputra. Whatever ballads of various melodies existed, he composed the jikirs, taking inspirations from them. And these zikrs for the past 300 years have been sung by the devotees through learning by heart as per traditions, and we can presently witness this tradition in some villages in Sivasagar. No written form has been given. They perform traditionally by learning by heart. In the 15th century of the Christian era, the great saint Shankar Deva was born, and he propounded the Vaishnava faith. His ultimate philosophy was believing in one God, monotheism or non-dualism. The fundamental principle of the Vaishnava faith was Ek Dio, Ek Seo, Ek Bine, Nahi Kyo, meaning one God, one service, no other than one God. The devotional songs of the Vaishnavites were themed somewhat in this line: O Mother, chant His name for the sake of the devotees. Never overlook His name. Hari's name is capable of making even death a matter of pride and fame. Similarly, having arrived in Assam in 17th century, His Holiness Aajan Fakir too made an attempt to promote religion through unity or non-dualism. Through the zikrs, he spoke of religion.
Neriba kolima, dhoriba kolima, kolima dhoromor guri, ekoti kolimai, brahmanda vedile, sorai hui ahile guri.
Thus, never leave the kalimas, stick to the kalimas, for kalimas are the faith's basis. A single kalima shoots the sky and returns like a bird that embraces. During the time of His Holiness Aajan Fakir, the Assamese Muslims had gone away from the customary Islamic rituals, and an utter confusion prevailed in the society. Gone astray, these people were targeted by Aajan Fakir to bring them back into the right fold, thus giving birth to zikrs and zaris. On the other hand, besides the Holy Quran and Hadith, His Holiness Aajan Fakir studied the local folk songs and various scriptures. That is why we may feel the impact of Dihanam, Biyanam, Tokarinam, Borgit and Assami witchcraft in his zikrs. Another notable feature of the zikrs is the magical confluence of several languages: Persian, Arabic, Golpodia, Bengali and Assami. This unique experimentation with so many languages added to the speciality of the zikrs. Aajan Fakir was highly inspired by Shankar Deva. Additionally, Shankar Deva's neo-Vaishnavism too influenced him to an end. That is why his zikrs and zari songs still carry this impact. Through the zikrs, he acknowledges Shankar Deva thus:
Kar ghoror diari, kar ghoror boari, bhangi kotha khari koa, bhangi kotha khari koboke nuari, hatote rokhore bati, Shankar Devor diari, Madhav Devor boari, Rohepur nagorot ghor, Rohepur nagoror, rohok nomayani, dia hokoluke bati.
Thus, whose daughter-in-law? Pray give me details. It's impossible to explain. Hands are full with nectar from an overflowing bowl. She is Shankar Deva's daughter. Madha Deva's daughter-in-law stays at Rohipur. Bring down the nectar from Rohipur and share it with all. The way Saint Shankar Deva brought the devotees towards the Supreme Being through his Borgits, His Holiness Aajan Fakir too drew the Muslim brethren's attention to the Khuda by remembering Allah's name through the zikrs. Since the ultimate purpose of the religious movements by both the religious leaders was the same, His Holiness Aajan Fakir did not face any hardship in spreading his religious ideas during his times. He did not maintain any exclusive relationship with the royalty either. Nevertheless, The contemporary ruler never came in the way of Aajan Pir's religious propagation, nor did he have any plans to do so. In one of the jikirs, Aajan Pir blessed the Ahom king thus: Gadgaon is ruled by Ahom king. Jikirs are translated into Assamese for the future. Long live the king, blessed be his subjects. Till stones float and boats go underwater. Aajan Fakir maintained tolerance towards all religions. The jikirs include references to even the Vedas and the Puranas. Here is such a jikir.
Sari bede diyano ke koyo Allah. Sari bede diyano ke koyo. Sari bede diyano ke koyo.
Certain traditional protocols need to be followed in performing the jikirs correctly. Regarding the recital of jikirs, late Karimuddin Ahmad had this to say: when we used to sing the jikirs, we never sat over a raised stage. We used to recite jikirs while squatting over mats on the ground. There was one lead vocalist. The entire team used to sing in chorus. People used to take baths and wear clean clothes before settling down to perform jikirs with utmost devotion. You could not gossip inside the venue. While performing jikirs, you could not sing anything else. You could not consume a sheaf of betel leaves with areca nuts. Everyone was supposed to be singing jikirs only with their minds and bodies completely immersed into the prayers. Jikirs were meant to be so much devotional. There was one special form of jikir. It was called Bor Jikir. You need to begin with this one. It was absolutely compulsory. With this, the jikirs, in fact, the entire sessions used to get started. Well, this jikir was La ilaha illallah, and the Vishnava religion, which was founded by Srimanta Sankadeva, was principled on this fundamental precept: Ek diyo, ek siyo, ek bine, nahi kiyo. The fundamental principles of De Bisar are ingrained in the jikirs. The laws of metaphysics are fundamental to the De Bisar songs. Earthly possessions like money, properties, fame, and name do not have any enduring value in the world. Such thoughts are reflected in the jikirs. Aajan Pir is known to have composed a total of 160 jikirs. Eminent literary critic Dr. Maheshwar Niyog wrote 240 Borgits, 260 Fakara Jojana, comical maxims, and 160 jikirs can be considered as the most prized possessions of Assami literature. In the former times, no written forms of the jikirs were found anywhere. They were used to be carried forward by subsequent generations through oral traditions. This was done because it was thought that jikirs would lose their purity in the written form or might get corrupt over the years. Later, some people with great foresight and several well-wishers of Aajan got together in spite of all odds to take up the cudgel of writing down the jikirs and scientifically preserving them by means of recording. Their great efforts are still appreciated by even Assamese today. Had they not taken up such steps, the jikirs would have got lost in the whirlwind of time. Or, had the jikirs continued in the oral tradition only, they would have taken an altogether different shape over the years. Here we must mention the contribution to the jikirs of the late Rakibuddin Ahmad. It is because of his promising efforts like recording of the jikirs that the jikirs made their reappearance in public from an almost extinct state. Assam will also remember the respected Rakibuddin Ahmad forever as the lyricist of jikirs. In one of the writings of Dr. Birendranath Dutta, it is mentioned that during the Second World War or during the 1940s, the late Kirtinath Sarma Bordoloi was the song publicity officer for Assam. During that time, he is known to have recorded 2 jikirs on gramophone record in Calcutta. Shrada Prasad Sarma and Chunni Mian offered their voices to these 2 jikirs. Probably these two were the first recorded jikirs. From the 50s of the last century, several eminent personalities have taken important steps in the collection and preservation of the jikirs spread across every nook and corner of Assam. Among such efforts, the contributions of Sayyid Haqiqur Rahman are worth mentioning. During the middle of the last century, during 1950s and 60s, the first attempt to compile the jikirs were made by late Muhibul Hussain. He was from Sivasagar. After that, almost about the same time, eminent literature, Sayyid Abdul Malik from the Gauhati University started the work of compiling the jikirs, and during the second time, the compiled jikirs by these two individuals, Muhibul Hussain and Sayyid Abdul Malik, were published in the form of two books. Later, eminent vocalist Rakibuddin Ahmad also compiled some jikirs. The jikirs, collected from various locations, were submitted to the cultural directors of Assam by him. But those jikirs are now difficult to trace. And after the demise of the respected Rakibuddin Ahmad for the past 3 to 4 years, from the Aajan Pir Dargah Samiti have been making efforts in collecting the jikirs from various places in Assam like Lakhimpur, Naharani area of Golaghat, interior of Nagaon, Gadgaon area of Guwahati, places where jikirs existed in the former times. To be particular, we have managed to procure original melodies of jikirs sung in the traditional way from 3 to 4 villages in Sivasagar. In this collection, there are jikirs sung in local Assami melodies, and systems have already been in places to preserve them in Kalakshetra in Guwahati and All India Radio, Dibrugarh.
বিশেষকৈ শিৱসাগৰৰ ৩-৪খন গাঁৱত এই পৰম্পৰাগতভাৱে গোৱা জিকিৰৰ সুৰ আমি সংগ্ৰহ কৰিছোঁ। এইখিনি সংগ্ৰহত অসমৰ থলুৱা সুৰত থকা জিকিৰসমূহ পোৱা গৈছে আৰু ইতিমধ্যে কলাক্ষেত্ৰ ডিব্ৰুগড় অনাতাঁৰ কেন্দ্ৰত এইখিনি সংৰক্ষণ কৰাৰ ব্যৱস্থা হৈ গৈছে।
The jikirs along with the Zari songs have been called the revered Aajan Pir's most precious gifts. It will not be an exaggeration to say that the jikirs and the Zari songs are the two sides of the same coin. The Zaris are songs containing narratives of melancholy tales. The heartbroken tales of Hassan and Hussain are found in the Zaris. His Holiness Aajan Pir realized the profundity of the faith and advocated for the conquering of the 5 foes of the mind through the jikirs. The way of using the musical instruments during the performance of a jikir is particularly notable. In the former times, there is a mention of the writings about the use of musical instruments called iktara while singing jikirs. The things have changed majorly in the recent times. The abundance of newer musical instruments has added a newer paradigm to the jikirs. The rigorous rules associated with the performance of jikirs have also been relaxed to a great extent. The jikirs too have taken on a modern form. Nonetheless, a certain quarter is of the opinion that the jikirs are best performed as per the traditional format. A disciple can never attain genuine knowledge without a mentor. At the time when revered Aajan Pir arrived in Assam, most of the people were unlettered. In the face of such a challenging situation, he offered religious and ethical teachings to the people through the jikirs. The impact of the jikirs by the revered Aajan Pir reached Darangi. In those days, Darangi comprised a part of the Nagaon and Sonitpur districts in the present times. The Muslims of Darangi who were influenced by him, invited him to their place. Their aim was to provide religious advice and education to every Muslim of Darangi. In this way, Aajan Pir became hugely popular in Darangi as well. After spending some time in Darangi to train the Muslims on religious and spiritual communications, he returned to Sonpura along with his brother and a few followers. In his return journey along the mighty Brahmaputra, some people are of the opinion that he paid a visit to Sri Onyati Satra in Majuli. This was found in the writings of the late Doliluddin Ahmad. The idea that Aajan Fakir came to Assam to focus on the propagation of only Islam is not true. Rather, he encouraged people to study other religions as well. In another writing, the late Doliluddin Ahmad pointed out that Aajan Fakir inspired the missing people living in both the banks of Brahmaputra in the Hingmukh area of Dimo in Upper Assam to explore Kirtan Ghosha, Bhagwat, etc. In this way, His Holiness Aajan Pir gained immense popularity among his followers in Sonpura by preaching them and leading them towards the attainment of Allah. However, at around this time, as if the gloomiest darkness descended into Aajan Fakir's life, it was as if a billow of dark clouds covered the sky of a golden era. The more popularity of Aajan Pir gained, the more animosity it bore in the mind of Rupai Da Doda, a prominent Muslim royal officer. He was an Ahom royal officer on one hand and influential citizen on the other. Everybody held him in great awe. The immense public esteem of His Holiness Aajan Fakir was envied by this royal officer. He grew apprehensive and was afraid that Aajan Fakir's increasing popularity might overshadow his clout. His popularity among the Muslims, who were by then engrossed in praising Aajan Fakir, might die out. And these unsubstantiated fears and apprehensions started giving him sleepless nights. He plotted to find some ways to project Aajan Fakir negatively in front of the king so as to penalize him. As planned, one day, his evil design materialized into reality. In the pretext of Aajan Fakir's failure to attend a feast, which he organized with a conspiracy behind it, Rupai Da Doda lodged a complaint with Ahom king against Aajan Fakir, accusing him of being a spy of the Mughals in reality and not a Sufi saint. He came to Assam to lead the Muslims astray. The Ahom king did not take the allegations seriously. Nevertheless, not wanting to offend a royal officer, he offered Rupai Da Doda the responsibility of doing justice to the case. Rupai Da Doda's one-sided verdict proclaimed Aajan Fakir guilty, a punishment that can give goosebumps to anyone who hears about it and which was never known in history was awarded to him. It was the taking out of his eyes while he was still alive. Such a condemnable act bothered Aajan Pir no end. This injustice meted out to an apostle of peace. An innocent Sufi saint could never be easily accepted by anyone. According to written records, after Rupai Da Doda passed his decree against him, Aajan Pir asked for 2 earthen pots to be brought near him. And into these pots, both his eyes came out automatically and fell. He requested the royal workers to leave the pair of eyes in the source of river Dikho. But with nobody to care to listen to him, the pair of eyes were thrown on the sandy banks of Dikho. This only showed that nobody even cared to fulfill his last request. An old legend goes that after Aajan Pir's eyes were taken out, the kingdom was visited by various calamities. Dikho's water flew upstream, unprecedented floods visited the kingdom, houses of both the royal and the ordinary were deluged, palaces were flattened, fields were ruined. When the news of all these happenings reached the king, he sent an officer by the name of Hati Barua to visit Aajan Pir and investigate into the matter. On getting to know about the heinous crimes of Rupai Dadora, Hati Barua apologized on behalf of both the royal and the ordinary people. Then Aajan Pir blessed Hati Barua thus:
কি দোৱা দি যাম তোকে হৈ বৰুৱা কি বৰ দি যাম তোৰ পুৰুষে পুৰুষে বিষয় খায়ে যাবি ভাঙোতা নহ'ব তোৰ
What blessings shall I shower on thee, Barua? What boon shall I confer on thee before I leave? Thou shalt prosper generations after generations. None would diminish thy fame as long as one can perceive. Some writings also cite that to atone for the misdeed of Rupai Dadora, his mother went to Aajan Fakir with a preparation of betel leaf and areca nut to beg his forgiveness. When Hati Barua explained to the king the gross injustice meted out to Aajan Fakir, the Ahom king went into deep repentance. He realized the real significance of Aajan Fakir. Later, so that Aajan Fakir could peacefully spend the last remaining days with his followers, the king made precise arrangements. At the confluence of river Dikho and river Brahmaputra, in Saraguri Sapari, a monastery was built for Aajan Pir. The story of the establishment of this monastery finds a mention in one of the jikirs. Thus, Saraguri Chapori, I Lord I. Nig river Dikho, I Lord I. O hail the king who shaped I, an abbey in the kindness of Allah I.
Hoy Sahib hoy hoy o Rojai khojai dile mothe Allah rohomor giri hol.
The exact date of demise of His Holiness Pir is not found anywhere in the records, but the fact that he deceased on a certain Saturday of the Assami month of Magh between mid-January and mid-February is found in the writings of the late Sayyid Abdul Malik. The opinions of experts are also divided on the exact number of years that Aajan Fakir lived. Some people believe that he lived up to an age of 120 years, while a few believe that he lived only up to an age of 90 years. From this, it can be assumed that he passed away during the reign of King Gadadhar Singha. After the demise of His Holiness Aajan Pir, he was laid to rest here on Saraguri Chapori, near the mouth of river Dikho. This is mentioned in one of the jikirs thus: in the month of Magh, on a Saturday, around 4 in the moon, I, O Lord, I hear Aajan in the morning.
Sahib, kunu moi Aajan, kunu moi godhuli pua. Kandibo dhurile dujona aye oi, Sahebor dupao dhori. Kului gusi jua khirore Sahebui amake vidhoba kuri.
After the decline of the Ahom reign, during the time of English rule, the burial place of Aajan Fakir was almost lost. During that period, his burial place was covered under dense vegetation. Later, during the years of 1947 and 1950, with the search efforts of several knowledgeable people, the location of Aajan Pir's burial place was rediscovered. However, with regard to this discovery, it is known that burial place was located on the basis of rumors prevalent in those days. Nevertheless, in 1950, after clearing the vegetation cover over the said place, a prayer hall was built using bamboo and hay. Over a period of time after that, it was rebuilt to give its current shape. In the present times, the state government has taken up adequate steps to develop Aajan Pir's Dargah. The development of the roads leading to Dargah, its infrastructure and electrification have also been undertaken. As per the records, the late Paragdar Chaliha arranged for solar-powered lights in the Dargah using his parliamentary funds. In the developing of this Dargah, the contributions of the former Chief Minister Hiteswar Saikia, the Honorable Tarun Gogoi, parliamentarian the late Bijoy Krishna Handik, Anjan Dutta, etc. should find a definite mention. In order to run Dargah of His Holiness Pir, there exists a managing committee. The committee was formed in year 1947. It was due to the persistent efforts of this committee that we have arrived at this point. Nevertheless, a lot still remains to be done. The Dargah Managing Committee has taken an important step since 1993. This is to present awards in the name of Aajan Fakir to the most deserving sons and daughters of Assam. The first award was presented to eminent literature Abdul Malik. Later, in the year 2004, this award was endorsed by the government and it was given posthumously to the great Doyen of Jikirs, Rakibuddin Ahmed. In 2012, this award was presented to outstanding literature Imran Shah. This is the land of Srimanta Sankardeva. This is the state endowed with a multitude of ethnic groups and tribes, amidst a melee of various languages and literatures, and arts and cultures. The uniting thread with which Saint Sankardeva and Aajan Fakir tied the Assami people together through their invaluable messages still exists and will remain so. In spite of this, with the changing phases of time, a discordant power has been continually making attempts to rip apart this age-old fabric by sowing the seeds of communalism. This conspiracy has shocked the Assami society and the intellectual consortia. The late Karimuddin Ahmed too said these words, expressing his resentment thus: "Seeing the acts of violence that are going on presently in Assam, I am feeling extremely upset, and this is really a sad thing to have happened. But I want to say that those people who have faith in religion, who have devotion towards religion, will never engage in such atrocious acts, regardless of their faiths. What is left to be discussed under harmony? The Bridge of Harmony was built by Aajan Pir and Sankardeva 3.5 centuries ago. The bridge that was built 3.5 centuries ago, the peaceful coexistence that was exhibited by the followers of Islam and Sankardeva through their coming together to sing Jikir and Debisar songs, and their movements over this bridge of harmony have all been completely forgotten by us. If we remember them, the present day dissenting acts would never take place in Assam." This is what I feel with deep conviction. Come, let us gather ourselves, abhorring all religious differences, to move ahead in creating a new social order that will not have any disparity and rancor between the Hindus and the Muslims. The only thing that will remain in it will be a golden dream to be partners of mutual love and understanding. Let us hold our hands and recite what the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, sang.
Ishwara Allah tero naam, sabko sannati de Bhagwan.
ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरे नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान।
মুছলমানক গাঢ়িব হায়ো আল্লাহ, হিন্দুকে জ্বলাব হায়ো আল্লাহ, মুছলমানক গাঢ়িব হায়ো আল্লাহ, এ হায়ো একেখনি জমিনৰ তল, হায়ো একেখনি জমিনৰ তল, এনো ঘৰেৰি বা হায়ো আল্লাহ, এনো ঘৰে যাবা হায়ো আল্লাহ, এ হায়ো হবা গৈনো একে তিল, মোৰ মনত ভেদ ভাৱনায়ো আল্লাহ, মোৰ মনত ভিন বনায়ো আল্লাহ, হিন্দু কি মুছলমান একে আল্লাহৰ